welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be drawing entirely out of graphite. So I have this little set here. This is basically just a little set of pencils. I have 6B, 5B, 4B, 3B, 2B, B, HB, and 2H. And I'm really excited to get into this, but I also have this mechanical pencil here. I actually got this from Jazz's Jazzy Art Box, and I love this mechanical pencil. It is really, really good. So I'm going to be using these pencils along with these little tortillions, blending stumps. I'm not sure what to call them. They're those little paper blendy things. And I'm going to be using these on my mixed media paper because I really love the sort of rough tooth of this paper. I can get some really good sort of textures and the paper holds up pretty well. So I'm really excited about this. So let's just get right into it and draw something. So here is a better look at the stumps that I had recently got, and this actually got me very, very curious. So I actually decided to look up the difference between a tortillion and a blending stump. They're actually very, very similar. The main difference is that blending stumps are thicker, wider, and longer, whereas tortillions are sort of really, really pointy and small. So I think these are stumps, I'm not too sure. Now here are the graphite pencils. Now to be honest, I'm actually very, very excited about this because I used to draw with graphite pencils all the time before I owned Copics or any other fancy art supplies. Those lead pencils were basically all I used to draw, and that's how I basically built my skill to draw. Now, graphite pencils are actually available in different hardnesses from 9H, which is the hardest, to 9B, which is the softest. I actually don't have that whole range, but I do have a pretty good range. Softer grades produce broader and darker strokes, and harder grades produce more precise and lighter strokes. H actually stands for hardness and B stands for black, which is pretty obvious to be honest. There's also a pencil designation for F, which is for fine lines. F is in between B and H, which is actually really cool. Like, those numbers on your pencils actually mean something. Who would have thought that? But anyways, today I actually wanted to do a little bit of art, obviously, but art of a lion. Basically, I want to make some fan art for the Lion King live action movie, which came out recently. I went to go see it, and it's actually pretty good. Now, a lot of people will probably scoff at that, saying, oh, but it won't have the same character as the animation. Well, yeah, it's a completely different thing. But I had a lot of fun watching it, and I really wanted to make some art for it. Now, I started off just sketching really loosely and lightly with my mechanical pencil, and that was really useful because I really wanted to get some light lines that would sort of disappear later. And after this, I sort of just added details here and there and doing some really, really rough sort of loose shading around areas with the lightest pencils that I had. After this, I actually blended it out with a piece of tissue. Well, I lie, it was toilet paper, but it's exactly the same thing. But yeah, and basically I just sort of built those shades on over the top of each other, just sort of going slowly darker and darker, working from light to dark so that I could sort of preserve the highlights that I wanted to keep. Now I filled in the background basically just with a sort of soft shading, just a little bit of a wash. Can you call it a wash when you're using pencils? I don't know, but that's basically what I did. And after this, I started to go in with my darker pencils now, sort of just working from the lightest to the darkest pencils, adding more shadows where I wanted them. Now I am actually using a reference today. I really wanted to sort of capture the likenesses of Simba, and basically I really had to sort of work off a reference because I really wanted to try and make it look as realistic as I could, and that's basically the way to do it. Now because graphite is basically a monochrome medium, basically it means it's black and white. It's all one shade. I actually decided to take that reference photo and convert it to black and white just so that I could see the values a little bit better and I could sort of get it to look more like what I'm actually going to be drawing. And that was very, very convenient actually. You wouldn't, like, I know it's kind of obvious, but you wouldn't think to convert your reference to black and white when you're trying to draw it in black and white, but it was really helpful. Now earlier on I was just sort of like concentrating on the shades and tones and rough shapes of the drawing. However, now once I've got all of that done, I am going in with the details. Now I'm actually using the darkest pencil, which I think is 6B if I remember correctly, and I'm making some really sort of dark marks on this drawing to try and up the contrast and make it look really nice. Now I'm doing this mainly for the parts of the mouth, around the eyes, the shadows around the ears, and little parts on the nose here and there. And after I sort of get those rough parts down, I blend the parts that I want to be blended, but I leave the parts that I don't want to be blended completely alone. I do not blend them at all, and these parts include the parts around the mouth and the eyes. Because it's important to sort of not over blend. I do have a problem with that sometimes. I will just blend everything out because it's really fun and it looks really nice, but you want a little bit of parts here and there that aren't blended to sort of keep the visual interest and sort of have a contrast between the really nice blended parts and the really sharp, crisp details. Now I'm actually going in with my eraser now, the sort of really small end on the mechanical pencil as well as a larger eraser, and I'm doing this to sort of bring back some of those highlights because obviously when you're using graphite it's very smudgy and it's really easy to sort of lose highlights a little bit, but erasers are perfect for just bringing back those highlights and making the art look really nice and vibrant. Well, not vibrant because it's not colorful, but it's contrasty. It has a good life to it, if that makes sense. Now, some parts I couldn't exactly erase completely because no one has an eraser that tiny, and some parts you can't really erase too much from the illustration because the dark parts can't be erased. But anyways, I actually went in with my X-Acto knife and sort of scraped some parts of the paper away. This was to just sort of get a bit of a scratchy texture in the illustration, not exactly trying to make it look realistic or anything, but trying to add little highlights here and there like the whiskers and just little bits of hair and give it a little bit of texture. And I actually seen Bailey J do this in one of her recent videos and I really wanted to try it out, and to be honest I feel like with a bit of practice I can probably do it better, but I do like the results and how it worked out on the illustration. So after this I just went in and I fixed up some parts here and there which needed more shading. I blended some parts which needed to be a little bit softer, and after this I actually added a nice coat of workable fixative which will just protect the art, prevent it from blending and keep it sort of, you know, crisp and how it's supposed to be. So here are the final results, and to be honest I love this so much. It's not perfect, there are some little, you know, flaws here and there, but for a go, you know, it's been a while since I have done a completely graphite drawing. I'm pretty happy with the results and I think it looks really cute. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this and I really want to try and make some more. But anyways, so yeah, please hit like and subscribe to get your scribble fix in the future, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye everyone.